Very quickly this morning, I want to talk about the Transgender Day of Remembrance. I made a suggestion about a month ago that we should change the date of the Transgender Day of Remembrance, and there's several reasons why I suggest this. For anybody who really doesn't know the history of why is the Transgender Day of Remembrance on November 20th? What started the Transgender Day of Remembrance? What it was Rita Hester, a transgender woman, was murdered on November 28th, and people who loved her held a remembrance. And that remembrance fell on November 20th. It wasn't actually on her anniversary of her passing. It was probably done as, a matter of convenience. We look at the calendar. When can we do this? We want to get it close. So it was on November 20th, and then it became a popular thing. So since every year the Transgender Day of Remembrance is on November 20th. Now, I've been extremely involved with that just the past three years, where I've gone and speaking and all that kind of stuff. Well, the first year that we set it up, because it's not a broadly, unfortunately, it's not a broadly acknowledged day. It's rather few and far between, and little groups here and there. And here's the other thing too. I mean, as far as transgender events, days that we acknowledge, we really only have one. And ours is around sadness and loss. The LGB has, more things than you can throw a stick at, but the transgender community really only has this one right now. And the first year that we tried to set it up, in my area, which was a brand new thing, we had a blizzard. We had a blizzard that year. And I don't drive, I walk, and I trudged through the snow to get there, and got to where the meeting was going to take place, and nobody else came because it was a snowstorm. And one homeless woman actually showed up, for support, but for warmth, I think more than anything else. And I brought her, we walked back to my house, otherwise she would have froze that night. The next year, we were able to put something together that was, the first of its kind in our area. And it was done at United Church of Christ, which is, it shows the amount of progress we've made, doesn't it? That the Transgender Day of Remembrance was held at a church. And there were 5 of us involved in organizing and participating. I did the lion's share of the speaking for about 2 hours. But very small audience. And again, it was, that small participation, that small turnout was really kind of weather-driven. And then we had this last year, 2016's, and there was just a handful of us. It's just our committed core that showed up, and there was a transgender male who came as well, with one of the women who is part of our committed core. And it was wonderful to get to meet him, and I think it was wonderful for him to get to meet me. So, it was a very positive thing. But again, there was only, I believe, 5 of us there. And again, it was because we had a snowstorm that night. People, just didn't feel safe enough to drive to get to where we were. It wasn't a lack of caring. It was a lack of safety for the time of year that we have set this date. Excuse me, I'm still dealing with cold issues. So, my suggestion was that we move it more toward the spring. And for a few reasons. I mean, think about it, guys. This last year, we had, in 2016, our remembrance for people lost in 2016, before 2016 was even over. So, did we lose anybody between November 20th and December 31st that were not recognized? That I couldn't tell you. I know that this last year, the list was not as complete as the one before. And, I don't know who compiles that list. I'm sure it's an immense amount of work, research, to try to put these lists together. But it makes more sense to me to recognize the people we lost in 2016 when we were actually in 2017. So we can look back at the year prior, the entire year. And so my thought was that we pick the original date I threw out there was the second Friday in April. Just to throw it out there. And my thought is, instead of having it November 20th, where you're moving into a period of darkness, it's already a sad event, an extremely sad event, but now we're moving into a period of darkness. We can change that by bringing it a few months later and making it an event that brings us into the light. Now, the reason I said that it needs to be on Friday, and we haven't set a date. The group that I work with, we're going to do this. Whether the rest of you want to follow suit is completely up to you, but we're going to do this. And now we're looking kind of in March, only because there's so much going on in April and Easter and all kinds of different events. So we're looking now in March. But my thought is that it needs to be done on a Friday. And on Friday we have the wake. We have our sadness. We have our ability to grieve on Friday. And then we move into a weekend. We move into Saturday, and Saturday is a celebration. So on Friday we have our wake. We acknowledge our loss. We acknowledge our grief. And then on Saturday we celebrate life. And you do that however you want. Party like it's 1999. Maybe sober up a little bit on Sunday before Monday. We hit the ground running. Now understanding, once again, because we need those reminders in order to keep going, don't we? To keep going strong. We need those reminders to say, hey, things still need to change. And so this gives us an opportunity to go through, understand, we grieve, we heal, we recover, and then we hit the ground running to do positive things, to create good change. The group that I work with is going to do that. We're the Livingston County Rainbow Alliance. We've already made that commitment. And if others want to follow suit, awesome. Now, I understand that, November 20th, Transgender Day of Remembrance, is an international thing. And so if you want to do both, do both. Still do November 20th. And do something in spring. It's not like the transgender community has so many events that we have to, oh my gosh, how are we going to fit this in? I think 2 events a year we can probably handle. But anyway, that's my suggestion. And as soon as we do lock down a date, and I believe it is going to be in March, I think that it should be a set Friday, second Friday in March or whatever it's going to be. And, I'll announce that and once we get it kind of locked down. We'll get that there. We've already talked about, scheduling buses to get actually people there, kids there, and all that kind of good stuff. Make it larger, make it bigger, make it more organized, make it more so that we acknowledge the sadness and then we have stuff scheduled for the fun as well. And so anyway, we're going to be doing this. And, I would encourage other people, other groups, to do that as well. Livingston County Rainbow Alliance there is on Facebook. We do have a page. And, so we'll be doing announcements as we get things solidified. And, you can take a look and follow suit or do something similar or, just think about it. And that's all I got for you for right now. And I'll talk to you later, and you have a wonderful day.